I get this all the time. Why do you sound like you're from the US? Why do you have an American accent? In this video, I will tell you exactly what I did. And spoiler alert, it's not what you think. It's not language learning apps, it's not shadowing, and it's not practicing with native speakers. I did a series of very unconventional things that led me to sounding the way I do today. Don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with your accent if you have an accent. We all have accents. And you don't need to sound like a native speaker if you're not a native speaker. So if you're happy with your accent, keep it. I'm just here to tell you what I did. But this video comes with a disclaimer. I did not have an Italian accent to begin with. And all the things I did, I started doing on day one. I did not wait until I was fluent to start working on my accent. My name is Paula. My channel is all about language acquisition. And if you're interested, subscribe. The first thing I did, I looked at a group of babies and toddlers. And I noticed that there is a huge window from birth to until, let's say, 2.5 years of age, where babies and toddlers understand a lot more than what they are actually able to produce. And in that window, that's when accent is formed. That's when the babies and the toddlers learn how to use their muscles, their facial muscles, their tongues, their teeth, everything that is involved in sound production. That's when they'll learn how to use it to sound like native speakers, because they are native speakers. In that window, babies and toddlers do not talk that much. There is some magic that happens when they start understanding the meaning of certain words. Let me give you an example. The mommy will say something like, "Hey baby, come here. Do you want a bottle?" "Hey baby, come here. Do you want a bottle?" That's 9 words. And the most meaningful word in that sentence, in that 9-word sentence, is bottle. The other words were probably not even understood by the baby. Bottle is a very meaningful word, and it's a content word. Content words are the first words that start making sense in a baby's head. Bottle, the mommy could have just said bottle, and the baby would have run for the bottle. If you pay attention to how babies and toddlers start producing sounds, they do not start repeating complex words, of course. They do not start repeating complex sentences, and they certainly do not start with articles like And I'm pretty sure if you've ever learned a language, one around you told you the same old thing. You gotta start talking right away. You gotta start talking right away. That's not what I did. I didn't want to, because that's what I had done for 8 years. It didn't make me fluent, and it certainly didn't make me sound natural. So in order for this strategy to work, you gotta trust the process. You gotta trust the fact that your brain can and will acquire a language the way you did when you were a baby, even though you're grown up. So I started immersing myself in a lot of input, a lot of English, a lot of content, podcasts, Netflix shows, lots of things, YouTube. But did I start talking to myself just to try and get the syntax in there? Absolutely not. When enough time had passed, let's say I had been immersing myself in English for, I think it was 8 months, I started feeling ready to practice the sounds. And I didn't start practicing entire sentences, but I acted like a baby, trying to repeat simple words. Bottle, bottle. That's what I felt ready to do. It felt like it was the right time to practice sounds. Bottle, water, water, water. And at first I sounded like a baby, but I sounded like a native speaker of English. A baby who was born in the US. So I started practicing like that, and it was just chunks, just sounds, all those content words. By the time I had immersed myself in the language for 12 months, I could understand 80% of a cartoon the first time I watched that episode. And that was very rewarding. I could tell what was going on. I could laugh at the jokes. And so I understood a lot more than just content words. I started comprehending the meaning of other words, like, do you want a bottle? Do you want a bottle? I started grasping the meaning even when the words were in connected speech. That was such a rewarding experience. At some point, I felt like I was ready to start talking in simple sentences, just like babies do. They will start with bottle, want a bottle, or want bottle, repeating small chunks from cartoons. And from then on, my comprehension skyrocketed, and I felt like I was at the point where you know, like a 3-year-old understands everything, but they can only articulate simpler concepts. That's where I was at that point. And by the time I had immersed myself in the English language for 18 months straight, I was able to talk. Something clicked, just like something clicks. And a 2-year-old speaks in 2-word sentences, and a 3-year-old all of a sudden starts speaking in full sentences. That's what happened with me. I started shadowing the whole sentence, and I started saying things like, hey baby, come here, do you want a bottle? So I never had an Italian accent to begin with, because I did not get myself to a point where I was able to read English but not understand it. So I developed enough awareness. This is a key concept. Awareness can only be correctly developed in your brain by immersing yourself, getting enough input while staying away from the written words. Unfortunately, every other English class out there, that's what they do. They put you in front of a written text, they ask you to read, they ask you to do exercises, or they ask you to repeat things, read out loud, start talking, and this will not help you develop any awareness, not even a tiny bit. So you're kind of doing things backwards when you go to school, when you learn a language the traditional way, because the correct order would be to understand the spoken language, then start producing the language, to start speaking, then reading, and then writing. These 4 things should be done in this order, just the way we do when we're little with our first language. But for some reason, we bought the lie that, no, you need to start talking right away. You need to start reading right away. And that's a lie. I mean, have you ever met someone who got fluent by, or got a very good accent, or sounds like a native speaker, and I studied a list of verbs and that's how I sound like a native speaker? Is that really how you did it? If you disagree with my method, and if you don't think it will work for you, I understand and I respect that. But please be kind in the comment section down below. Be kind to me, be kind to each other. This is just me telling you what I did. If you want to try, give it a shot. And if you're interested in language acquisition, you want to watch this video next.